On today's show, we have our guest, David Goa, and we're going to be talking about the Orthodox concept and teachings on how do we deal with dreams and visions. In other religions, they put a high emphasis on dreams and visions, where in Orthodoxy, we actually have a prayer praying for a deep, dreamless sleep. We don't particularly put much trust in dreams and visions. On the contrary, there's a story of a saint who was visited by a saint that died hundreds of years prior to his life. And even though he tested this particular vision of this other saint, he still did not trust the vision. So in Orthodoxy, how do we understand our dreams and how do we understand our personal religious experiences in contrast to other religions? Like, how do we, if I had a very far out dream, how much should I trust it, or should I even trust it at all? What would be the Orthodox answer to this question?
There are, of course, dreams in the Bible.
That's true.
And there are visions as well. So I think one needs to just unwrap it a little bit. I love the word vision, but I think it's so completely understood. Most people, when you use the word vision, they're really thinking of an apparition. But the word vision means how you see. Like how you see. It's your vision. So in that sense, anyone who says they have a vision of something is really speaking about a kind of apparition or a fantasy. Dreams, we know a fair bit about dreams now. Sigmund Freud wrote his remarkable book called The Interpretation of Dreams. I remember reading it in the 60s and frankly getting a big kick out of it. Freud understood that people's dreams reveal something about what's going on in their life and how they're misunderstanding it. It's called neurosis. So it's not, at least in my sense, it's not that these things are dismissed. It's what are they understood to be. So, and you've asked the question, what kind of, what sort of authority do they have?
Yep.
Or how does one discern what is significant in them and what is not? All human beings, I think all human beings dream. This is pretty normal. Very deep dream state is considered important for good health. In that Orthodox prayer, it goes along with the prayer to be spared from evil memories. And that, of course, is part of the human struggle. We all, because all human experience accrues in us, it can leave shadows in our life which trouble us. And so that can arise in dreams. And in the most serious cases, it needs help. And sometimes professional help. There's a fair bit known about this, so it is possible to get help with those things when they're serious. But in general, the church is concerned, and we see this in the spiritual theology of the church, is quite concerned, and this teaching comes largely out of monasteries. And it comes out of monasteries because monasteries are hothouses. It's people living tight together, a spiritual elder, lots of self-examination. So there are things that are learned about that. And so a lot of the monastic teaching is really teaching about neurosis of one sort or another. We would call it neurosis nowadays. It's about human passions. A central teaching of this tradition of ours is that it is dangerous to attach spiritual meaning of an ultimate nature to dreams or visions, because they're, as modern psychology also teaches us, they are so often the result of our own inner struggle. And to sanctify your own inner struggle or take it as a indication that somehow you have spiritual superiority or something of the sort leads you down a very dark path. This critique is present in all the great religious traditions. I've read many of the spiritual masters in the Jewish, Muslim, Hindu, and Buddhist world who always caution their spiritual children or their disciples around this matter of having some kind of dream or vision which then they become fixated on and they seek to reorganize the world around it. So lots of warnings about that in the monastic literature in various religious worlds. But the other side of it that you were hinting at here, I think, and that's when dreams become a significant spiritual discipline, like or visions, like in the vision quest and in some First Peoples religious traditions. Well, we always have to be cautious around assuming what's going on there. The little bit that I know about it, somebody like Black Elk, for example, the Oglala Sioux, the visions there were not taken in the way in which you framed this, in the critical way you framed it. Those visions were insightful into the pain and suffering that is taking place within his community. And it's not then a matter of neurosis or of some kind of personal fantasy. That kind of vision is given for healing. So if healing results, maybe this is one way, tell me if this satisfies your question a little bit. If healing results from the dream or the vision, if as a result of it, one is able to draw closer to life, closer to God, then it would appear to be a good. If, on the other hand, it drives you into your own imagination.
I.e., you had a dream that said, leave your spouse.
Yeah, things of that nature.
Yeah.
It needs to be examined. And you need to query, what is it within me that has risen up in this way?
Adding to some additional arguments to this, like the book, The Arena, talks about dreams and visions in detail in the Orthodox faith, and also it gives an example on the dangers of putting too much value into your personal dreams. But another thing I want to bring up, if you go on YouTube, you can find pages of videos of people who have said they had dreams and visions of certain people that are either in heaven, but other people have the same dreams and visions of the same religious teacher in or hell. And you can see pages upon pages of these visions that contradict each other. You know, one person says this particular leader visited them in their dream, while someone else had a dream where they were in Gehenna, obviously these visions contradict each other. So what visions do you actually trust, and what visions do you, like, what is the litmus test to to tell if a vision is true or false? I mean, like, how do we practice discernment on dreams and visions is the question.
Well, the first spiritual discipline would be stop watching YouTube. That would be my first suggestion. I mean, I think this is just another way of circling back to where we were in when we ask the question, is this of God? In our tradition of the Christian church, we say there's only one thing that's of God, and that is loving communion. And so if it isn't about loving communion, if it doesn't deepen our capacity for loving communion, then it's a fantasy. It's part of the neurotic behavior of the human mind and the human heart, and it needs healing.